Mom accidentally added me to a group chat called Happy Family. In it, I saw Mom, Dad, and some stranger nicknamed Sweetheart. They were planning a birthday party for him. The problem, tomorrow's my birthday, which they've forgotten for the 10th year in a row. Mom texted, the venue has to be dreamy. I want him to feel like a real prince. Dad sent Sweetheart a huge cash transfer. Money is no problem. Just don't let Christopher find out. It'll ruin everything. I quietly screenshot everything, ready to expose them and cut ties for good. Then my little sister Susie, the straight A student, sent me a screenshot from her private chat with Mom. Mom, did you finish setting up Christopher's surprise party? You promised this is the last time you'd lie to him. I stared at Susie's screenshots. My heart dropped.
À surprise.
The last time they'd lie to me. That explained everything. Every birthday, my parents blew me off with excuses. Chris, something came up at work. Mom would say, got a business meeting. Just order takeout, Dad would say. This year, they didn't even bother with excuses. They'd just replace me. I threw my phone down. My chest felt tight. Another text from Susie popped up. Christopher, don't overthink it. Mom and Dad just... I sent back 2 words. Got it. Don't overthink it. How could I not? The facts were right there. That birthday party for their sweetheart was my so-called surprise. Their actual son. Just background noise for some other kid's happiness. I heard Mom's hushed voice from the living room.
Right.
Go with blue balloons. The biggest ones. Ben loves blue. So, it has to be perfect Ben. I listened closer and figured out his full name, Benjamin Smith. I pulled up Instagram and searched for him. His profile popped up right away. Fancy travel photos everywhere. Latest story, a photo with my parents in my living room. Mom and Dad were beaming. Mom had her arm around Benjamin's shoulder. Dad stood next to him with this look I'd never seen before.
Pure affection.
The caption said, "Thank you, Mr. and Mrs.
Blake.
Can't wait for tomorrow's party." Mom commented underneath, "Silly boy. No need to be so formal with us." Dad liked the post. Perfect little family. I saved the photo with the group chat. Screenshots in my encrypted album. These would be my surprises for them tomorrow at dinner. Mom made soup and served me with way too much enthusiasm. Chris, try this. I made it especially for you. I looked at the greasy chicken soup. My throat tightened. Is this to celebrate Benjamin's birthday? I asked casually. Mom's smile froze. He glanced at Dad. His expression went dark. What are you talking about, Benjamin? Really, Dad? Short memory much. I pulled out my phone and showed him the photo. Isn't this your so-called sweetheart? Dad's face went white. Mom jumped in. Chris, you've got it wrong. He's my client's son. We're just helping with his party. A client's son laughed. Important enough for his own group chat to be called sweetheart. To get huge money transfers. Important enough to make you forget your own son's birthday. The living room went silent except for heavy breathing. Susie ran out of her room and grabbed my arm. Christopher, calm down. I shook her off. What, you gonna help them lie to me too? Susie's face went pale. Her mouth moved, but nothing came out. The next day, my birthday, the house was empty. $100 and a note sat on the table. Mom's handwriting, Chris. Money is on the table. Get yourself something good to eat. 10 years of this treatment, even the money amount never changed. Crumpled the bill and threw it in the trash. After last night's blow-up, they stopped pretending. I heard Mom on the phone in her room, voice buzzing with excitement. The venue is all set up. Looks like a fairy tale. Dad was on the balcony giving orders. Bring the 82. Lafitte. Ben needs to have the time of his life today. Meanwhile, I drifted through the house like a ghost. Susie left early. Before she did, she gave me this complicated look. Christopher, no matter what you see, trust me. Trust her. Trust. She was in on this too. I laughed coldly and said nothing. Around noon, a delivery truck pulled up. 2 guys unloaded this massive gift box with a ridiculous blue bow. I stood at the window watching. Turns out I didn't even deserve a gift. Mom rushed downstairs, grinning ear to ear as she signed for it. She directed the workers super carefully, terrified they'd damage it. I recognized the logo. A limited edition piano from last month. 6 figures easy. Meanwhile, my 10-year-old piano had yellowed keys and was totally out of tune. I'd mentioned it to Mom before. Her response, if it works, keep using it. Money's tight. Money wasn't the problem. I just wasn't worth it. That killed the last bit of hope I had. That afternoon, I put on a black suit. I fixed my hair and made myself look decent, hiding the exhaustion. Couldn't let them see me broken. I'd walk away with my head up. I'd overheard the party address during Mom's call last night. The fanciest banquet hall in the city. I grabbed a cab. The driver kept going on about it. What's the big deal today? Traffic's crazy. Up ahead. Heard some rich families throwing their son a birthday party. Super extravagant. I forced a small smile. Yeah, extravagant. Built on 10 years of my pain. A red carpet stretched across the hall in trance, lined with blue roses. Welcome sign read in fancy letters. Happy birthday to my sweetheart. Signed love mom and dad. I stared at those words. They burned. I texted, Susie. I'm here to see your so-called surprise. I took a deep breath and walked inside. Glasses clinked and people laughed. My parents stood in the crowd, all smiles, entertaining guests. Next to them stood a boy in a blue suit, Benjamin, looking like a peacock, soaking up all the attention. Mom placed a diamond crown on his head. Then, today you're our most precious little prince. Dad handed him a velvet box with a diamond necklace, like it had it custom made for you. Benjamin smiled sweetly. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Blake. You're so good to me. The guests were impressed. Oliver can't believe how you treat your godson. Better than your own kid. Seriously? That's some generosity. If this is how you treat a godson, what would you do for your real son's birthday? Give him the moon. My parents laughed and waved it off. It's nothing. Nobody noticed me in the corner. I held up my phone and recorded everything. Then I straightened my suit, grabbed some champagne, and walked toward them. The noise faded. All I saw was that perfect family of three. Mom raised her glass. Thank you all for celebrating our sweetheart's birthday today. Your sweetheart, I cut in. I repeated Mom's words. Ice cold. Their smiles vanished. Mom recovered. First, she stepped forward to grab my hand. I dodged. Chris, why are you here? Her voice shook. Come, let me introduce you. This is. I cut her off, staring straight at Benjamin. This is Benjamin Smith, your sweetheart, right? Benjamin's smile disappeared. He looked lost. A flash of sympathy crossed his face. Before he looked to my parents for help.
Who's this? Someone asked.
Dad's face went dark. He lowered his voice. Christopher Blake, stop making a scene and go home. Making a scene? I laughed coldly. Dad, forget what day it is. Today is also your real son's birthday.
Mean it.
Every word crystal clear. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Everyone's eyes bounced between my parents and me, hungry for gossip. So he's the actual son then? Unbelievable. Ignoring their own kid's birthday for some outsider. What is Mr. Blake thinking? The whispers hit my parents hard. Their faces darkened. Mom's lips trembled. Dad went from panicked to furious. Enough. He slammed the table. Did you really have to ruin today? Ruin it. I raised my phone and hit play on a video. Mom, who's ruining what? Who's supposedly planning my surprise? While putting a crown on someone else. The screen showed Mom gently placing the crown on Benjamin's head. Then, today you're our most precious little prince. Her words echoed through the silent hall. I went white. I switched to the group photo, and this. How'd your client's son become your sweetheart? I turned the screen to the crowd. Everyone could see the photo and comments. Their faces showed shock, judgment, disbelief. Dad shook with rage. He pointed at me speechless. Christopher Blake, you what? I met his eyes. Mine were watering, but my voice stayed cold. I just want to know, does having a new son feel that much better? What did I do to deserve getting dumped like trash? My voice got louder. Carrying 10 years of hurt, Benjamin went pale. He tugged Mom's sleeve. Mrs. Blake. This Mom yanked away from him. She looked at me, eyes full of regret. Chris, it's not what you think. It's really not. Then what is it? I demanded. Go ahead, explain. Right then the doors flew open. Susie rushed in, seeing the standoff. Her face went white. She ran to me and grabbed my arm tight. Her voice shook. Christopher, let me explain enough. I don't want more explanations. I shouted. I tried to break free. I'd accomplished what I came for. Let everyone see my parents' true faces. Watch their perfect image crumble. I raised my phone high, ready to project the group chat screenshots on the big screen. Mom, Dad, show's over. Just as I was about to hit projection, Susie snatched my phone and clutched it to her chest. Christopher, please. Just 5 more minutes. Her eyes were red, voice desperate. 5 minutes, Susie pleaded, her knuckles white as she gripped my phone. Just look at the file I sent you. Not the screenshots. The PDF. I looked at her, then at my parents. Dad was sweating, his eyes darting around the room like a trapped animal. Mom looked like she was about to faint. Benjamin was still clutching that ridiculous diamond necklace, looking confused and small. Give me the phone, I said, my voice dead calm. Susie hesitated, then unlocked it and opened a document. She didn't hand it back. She held it up for me to see. It wasn't a chat log. It was a bank statement. Account. Christopher Blake. Grandparent trust, education and inheritance. Status. Closed/liquidated. Withdrawal history. October 12th. $50,000, transfer to Sweetheart Event Planning. September 4th, $120,000, medical specialist consultation. August 15th, $15,000, flight/accommodation, then. The list went on. For 10 years. The starting balance had been nearly $500,000, money my grandfather left me. The current balance was $0. The silence in the room was heavier than the grave. I looked up from the screen. The anger that had been boiling in my chest suddenly turned into something else, something cold and sharp, like a surgeon's scalpel. "You didn't just forget my birthday," I said, my voice barely a whisper, yet it carried across the silent banquet hall. "You stole it." Dad lunged forward. "Christopher, that's family business. Put the phone away." I stepped back, dodging his grasp, and snatched the phone from Susie. I connected to the projector.
No.
Mom screamed. Too late. The bank statement filled the massive screen behind the stage, overshadowing the Happy Birthday Sweetheart banner. The guests gasped. The numbers were undeniable. "Benjamin isn't just a client's son, is he?" I asked, turning to the crowd. "My parents have been using my inheritance, money meant for my college, my future, to play fantasy family with a stranger." "He's sick," Mom wailed, finally breaking. She fell to her knees, weeping. "Benjamin is sick, Christopher. He has a terminal condition. His father is the one who keeps our firm afloat. If we didn't make Ben happy, we'd lose everything." "So, you spent my money?" I asked. "You sacrificed my life? You ignored me for a decade, treated me like a ghost in my own home, just to impress a client. We were going to pay it back." Dad roared, his face purple. "Once the merger went through, we did it for this family. For you. For me." I laughed. It was a dry, broken sound. "You bought him a six-figure piano with my tuition money while I played on a broken antique with yellow keys.
You didn't do this for me.
You did it because you're weak. You're pathetic." I walked over to the gift table. The massive blue box with the Steinway piano sat there. I looked at Benjamin. The boy was trembling, tears streaming down his face. He finally understood. He wasn't a prince. He was a product. "Happy birthday, Ben," I said softly. "Enjoy the piano. I paid for it." I turned to my parents. "I'm done. Don't look for me. Don't call me. As far as I'm concerned, the Christopher you knew died 10 years ago." I walked out of the hall. Susie tried to follow me, crying, "Chris, wait. I only found out yesterday. That's why I wanted you to wait. I was trying to get a lawyer." I stopped at the glass doors. I looked at my little sister. "If you stay with them, Susie, you're part of the lie. Make your choice." I didn't wait for her answer. I walked out into the cool night air, loosened my tie, and dropped it in the gutter. I had nothing but the suit on my back and $20 in my pocket. I was homeless, penniless, and alone. But for the first time in 10 years, I was free. The first 6 months were hell. I slept in 24-hour diners, nursing a single cup of coffee for hours. I slept in the university library until they checked IDs. Eventually, I found a room in a boarding house that smelled of mildew and boiled cabbage, paid for by washing dishes in the back of a greasy Italian restaurant. I blocked every number. I deleted social media. I became a ghost. But I had one thing. My hands. The restaurant, Tony's Trattoria, had an old upright piano in the corner. It was usually covered in coats and dirty napkins. One night, after the dinner rush, while mopping the floor, I sat down. I didn't play Mozart or Bach. I played the anger. I played the sound of a 10-year silence. I slammed the keys with the frustration of a boy whose parents bought a crown for a stranger while he rotted in the dark. "Hey, kid." I froze. Tony, the owner, a man with a stomach like a barrel and a heart of gold, was standing in the doorway. "I thought you said you were a dishwasher," Tony grunted. I am.
Sorry.
I'll get back to." "Shut up," Tony said. He walked over, wiped a smudge off the piano lid, and looked at me. "You play like you got a demon trying to claw its way out of your chest. Tomorrow, you don't wash dishes. You play. You take tips. We split the rest." That was the beginning. Word spread. The dishwasher pianist. People came for the pasta, but they stayed for the music. I played with a raw intensity that scared some people and made others cry. I channeled every missed birthday, every cold soup, every money is tight, line to the music. One rainy Tuesday, a woman in a sharp blazer sat at the bar. She nursed a martini and watched me for 2 hours. When I finished, she approached. "You have excellent technique," she said. "But your pain, that's what makes you marketable." She handed me a card. Alara Vance. Talent management. "I don't do charity," I said coldly, wiping the sweat from my brow. "Neither do I," she replied. "I book tours. I have a slot for a rising star showcase in New York. You want to wash dishes forever? Or do you want to make them regret they ever let you go?" She knew. Somehow, she knew. When do we leave? I asked. 3 years passed. I wasn't Christopher Blake anymore. I went by the name Kit. Just Kit. I was touring small concert halls in Europe and the East Coast. I wasn't famous. Not yet, but I was respected. I had a small apartment in Brooklyn, a grand piano that I had paid for with my own money, and a bank account that I controlled. I hadn't spoken to my parents in 1,095 days. But the past has a way of festering if you don't cut it out completely. I was back in the city for a charity gala, ironically, at the same hotel where I had exposed my parents. I was the headline performer. As I walked through the lobby, flanked by a Lara and a security guard, I saw a commotion near the front desk. A man was arguing with a concierge. His suit was frayed at the cuffs. His hair was thinning and unkempt. I just need to leave a note for him. I'm his father. I stopped. It was Dad. But he looked 20 years older. He was gaunt, his eyes rimmed with red. He wasn't the arrogant man who commanded the room. He was a desperate beggar. Alara touched my arm. Kit, we can go the back way. No, I said. Let him come. The security guard stepped aside. Dad saw me. His face crumbled. He rushed over, but stopped 5 feet away, sensing the invisible wall I had built. Chris, he choked out. God, you look good. Mr. Blake. I corrected. What do you want? It's your mother, he whispered. And Susie. We lost the house, Chris. The lawsuit, after you left, the investors pulled out. The fraud investigation regarding the trust fund. We lost everything. Justice, I said flatly. Your mother is in the hospital, he said, his voice breaking. Stress-induced stroke. She's asking for you. And Susie is working 2 jobs to pay the rent on a 1-bedroom apartment. I felt a twinge of guilt, but I shoved it down. And Benjamin? How's the little prince? Dad flinched. He died 2 months after your birthday. The treatment didn't work. His father, the client, he blamed us. He sued us for breach of contract and negligence. He buried us, Chris. I stared at him. The sweetheart was dead. The fortune was gone. The perfect family was ashes. I need money, Chris, Dad admitted, staring at the floor. Not for me. For your mom's surgery. Please. I know we don't deserve it. But she's dying. I looked at the man who had ignored me for a decade. The man who handed a diamond necklace to a stranger, while I got nothing. You're right, I said. You don't deserve it. I pulled out my checkbook. Dad's eyes lit up with pathetic hope. I wrote a check. I ripped it out and handed it to him. He looked at the amount. $100. His face went pale. Chris, the surgery costs $50,000. There's money on the table, I said, repeating the words Mom had left me on my 18th birthday. Get yourself something good to eat. I turned and walked toward the elevators. Christopher, he screamed behind me. She's your mother. I didn't look back. But when the elevator doors closed, I sank to the floor and buried my head in my hands. I couldn't sleep that night. The image of Dad's frayed cuffs haunted me. Not because I pitied him, but because of Susie. Susie, the straight-A student. Susie, who had tried to warn me. Susie, who I had left behind in the wreckage. The next morning, I hired a private investigator. By noon, I had an address. It was a rundown apartment complex on the edge of the city. I parked my rental car, a sleek black Mercedes, and walked up the graffiti-stained stairs. Apartment 4B. I knocked. The door opened. Susie stood there. She looked exhausted. She was wearing a waitress uniform, her hair messy, dark circles under her eyes. She stared at me, then her chin trembled. You came back, she whispered. I came for you, I said. She let me in. The apartment was tiny. In the corner, on a mattress on the floor, Mom was sleeping. She looked frail, half her face sagging from the stroke. Dad wasn't there. Where is he? I asked. Job interview, Susie said, pouring me a glass of water. Janitor at the high school. The irony was suffocating. Susie, I said, pack your bags. She shook her head. I can't leave them, Chris. Dad is trying. He really is. He sells his watch, his clothes, he's trying to fix it. And Mom, she cries your name in her sleep. They stole my future, Susie. I know, she said fiercely. And they paid for it. Look around. They're living in hell. But you? You won. You're successful. You're free. Hate is a heavy thing to carry when you're already at the top. She went to a drawer and pulled out a stack of envelopes. What is this? Dad writes to you. Every week. He doesn't know where to send them, so he keeps them. I took the letters. I didn't want to read them, but Susie's eyes, so like my own, begged me to. I opened the top one. Dear Chris, I sold the piano today. The one we bought for Benjamin. I got pennies on the dollar, but I sent it to the lawyer to try and pay back your trust. I know it's not enough. I remember when you were 7, you drew me a picture of a rocket ship. I found it when we were being evicted. It's the only thing I kept.
I'm sorry.
I opened another. Dear Chris, I saw your picture in the paper. You look like your grandfather. He would have been ashamed of me. I am ashamed of me. I hope you never forgive us, because I can't forgive myself. My throat felt tight. Why? I asked Susie. Why did they do it? Really? Susie sat down. Because of the accident. What accident? 10 years ago. On your birthday. Dad was driving. He hit a car. A woman died. Benjamin's mother. Dad wasn't drunk, but he was speeding to get to your party. He felt that if he celebrated you, he was celebrating her death. Benjamin's father, the client, blackmailed him, yes. But the guilt is what made them replace you. Every time they looked at you, they saw the woman they killed. I sat in silence. The puzzle pieces clicked into place. It wasn't hatred. It was cowardice. They couldn't face their sin, so they erased the reminder of it. Me. I can't fix them, Susie, I said finally. And I won't live with them. I know, she said. But I pulled out my phone and dialed Alara. I can fix this. 2 weeks later, I sat in the waiting room of the Mount Sinai Hospital. The surgery had taken 6 hours. The doctor came out. Mr. Blake, your mother is stable. The surgery was a success. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Dad was sitting in the corner, twisting a dirty cap in his hands. He hadn't looked at me since I walked in and handed the hospital admin my credit card. I stood up and walked over to him. She's going to be okay, I said. Dad nodded, tears dripping onto his knees. Thank you. I will pay you back. I swear. It might take me until I die, but… Stop, I said. You can't pay me back. You can never pay me back for the 10 years. That debt is written off. It's a bad loan. Dad looked up confused. I'm not doing this for you, I said. I'm doing it because I'm not you.
I don't abandon family.
Even when they deserve it. I dropped a set of keys on the chair next to him. What's this? Apartment keys. It's a decent place. 2 bedrooms. Near Susie's university. I paid the rent for a year. Susie is going back to school. She's not waiting tables anymore. Chris. Dad sobbed, covering his face. Why? Because she's my sister. And because you're going to get a job, and you're going to work, and you're going to treat her like the straight A student she is. If you ever make her feel like second best, I will destroy you. For real this time. I promise, he gasped. I promise. I turned to leave. Chris. I stopped. Do you want to see her? I hesitated. I thought about the greasy chicken soup. I thought about the client's son. Then I thought about the woman who taught me to tie my shoes before the world went dark. Not today, I said. Maybe next year. 1 year later. I was performing at Carnegie Hall. The seats were sold out. As I took the stage, the lights blinded me for a second. I sat at the piano. My Steinway, the one I earned. I looked out into the darkness. In the 3rd row, I saw them. Susie, looking radiant in a dress I'd bought her. Dad, in a cheap but clean suit, holding Mom's hand. Mom looked older, frail, but she was smiling.
She was looking at me.
Not through me. At me. I placed my hands on the keys. This song, I spoke into the microphone, my voice steady, is an original composition. It's called The Uninvited Guest. I began to play. It was a melancholic melody that shifted into something powerful, triumphant, and finally, peaceful. After the show, I met them in the lobby. Mom was crying. She reached out a hand, but pulled it back, afraid to touch me. I looked at her. The anger was gone. The hurt was there, scar tissue over a deep wound, but the infection had cleared. Happy birthday, Chris, she whispered. I checked the date. It was tomorrow. They remembered. Thanks, I said. We have a gift, Dad said nervously. He handed me a small envelope. I opened it. It wasn't money. It wasn't a check. It was a photo. A Polaroid from 11 years ago. Me, sitting at the old yellow piano, grinning before everything went wrong. On the back, in Dad's handwriting, it said, "The only prince we ever needed." It was a small gesture. It didn't fix the past. It didn't bring back the money. But it was real. Do you want to get dinner? Susie asked, hopeful. I looked at my watch. I had an after-party with investors. I had a flight to Paris in the morning. I had a life that was bigger than this broken little family. But I looked at Susie. I looked at the regret etched into my parents' faces. Sure, I said. But not chicken soup. Dad let out a wet laugh.
No. Pizza.
On me. On you. I raised an eyebrow. I got promoted, he said proudly. Head janitor. I smiled. It was the first genuine smile I'd given him in a decade. Lead the way, Dad. We walked out into the city night. We weren't a fairy tale. We weren't a happy family group chat. We were broken glued back together with messy seams and scar tissue. But as we walked down the street, for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like a ghost. I felt real. And that was enough.